All right, we're live. Good evening, shifties. Welcome back. This is episode 24. I'm your host, Tito Amogus. This is Shift the Journey, where I get to interview a different person every week so they can talk about their career journey. I just want to give some encouragement and put it out there, the information about how we were able to shift from one career to another, whether it's from one industry to another, one job function to another, or from active duty military to civilian life. And so this week we have a guest. His name is Scott Adams. Yay, Scott Adams. Let's welcome Scott. Scott and I actually go for I don't know, probably 10 years back, right? Oh my
At
gosh, has it
least,
been
yeah.
that long? Oh boy. But Scott and I were stationed at Keesler Air Force Base back in the day, at Second Air Force, which is second to none, by the way, just so you know. And but Scott is a an IT professional in the Tampa St. Pete area, and so he's gonna just give us a rundown on his entire life. Not really. So, all right, let's start off with you, Scott. Let's tell everybody where you're from originally.
Originally, I'm from Cairo, Georgia. It's a small town, a little north of Tallahassee, Florida. So I was right on the Georgia-Florida line. And then now I'm down here in Tampa, Florida. I've been down here about 11 years now, 12, something like that.
You're still the only person to this day that I've ever met from Cairo, Georgia.
It's a small world because actually I was talking to a coworker that works in another department because the county is pretty big, and
Yeah.
I say yeah, we was talking just this past week, and he said, "Yeah, I got a guy that just worked for me that's from Cairo too." And then he did a three-way call on Friday, and he's
Oh,
actually
that's
from
funny.
Wiggle, which is even smaller than Cairo.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really funny. Like I
it's a
was so
small world
surprised.
though.
It was yeah, it's so funny because I remember when we met, I was so surprised that you were from Georgia, but you were a Florida State fan. I was like, what? Get
Right,
out of here, you know. But proximity, means a
right.
lot, I guess. So, all right. So, like when you decided you were going to join the military, what what prompted that? Was that something that you had like a dream of growing up, or was it something that you like walked
No.
by the recruiter's office?
so uh so basically I graduated early 90s, in typical small town. Your mom, your dad wants you to go to college, so we had a
Yeah.
small college right next to our to Cairo, which is in Bainbridge, which was another small town.
Oh, that's
It's,
Kirby Smart's
and
hometown.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
actually it is. So anyway, I went to the I gotta guess. So anyway, I went there for a couple. Hold on one second.
Oh yeah, no problem.
So so I tried a college thing. I wasn't ready. So this is why I came in here today, not in my office. They found me. So anyway, I graduated in '93. I tried out for a little while. Really wasn't my thing at the time. I was kind of immature for my age. School was kind of easy for me, and I thought I could do that same thing in college. Which in college you actually got to put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
So I kind of struggled in college, and then college didn't work out so well, and then I started working in, because where I'm from, you couldn't really get a good job unless you worked in a warehouse. You got to put in 12 to 18 hours a day to make any kind of money. And so I jumped around job to job, and long story short, I finally got tired of doing all that, and I signed up to join the military in I think it was 97. I did a
Yeah.
delayed entry program, and so it took me about 6 months to get in, because when I signed up, I did like the delayed entry program.
Mhm.
And then this funny thing is my cousin really influenced me. My younger cousin, he came to me one day and said, "Hey, since we ain't doing anything, let's join the army." And
Oh.
so so we go down to MELPS to after we do all our paperwork, go to MELPS,
Yeah.
and I'm going through, how long that process is. So I'm going through the physicals, I'm getting through. So at the end, we get separated. Somewhere in the middle, we get separated. So I'm over here signing up for 6 years to join the military. Happy. I come out to the lobby, and then I see this taxi drive pull up. And my cousin gets out the car, and I was like, "What are you doing in this taxi car?" And he had told me he had a back issue. Out of the blue, he said he had a back
Oh.
issue. And so, long story short, I went in the military. He didn't.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so
That's
we didn't do the
funny.
buddies. We didn't do the buddy system.
Uh,
but hey, it is what it is. It was meant for me to join and him to continue what he was doing. So
So, did you get to choose what career field you wanted to go into?
I
Was that
did. I actually did. I got the I went in as a ground radio technician.
okay?
So
Yeah,
it was, that's, it was, but they wanted you to sign up for 6 years because the tech school was so long. It was it's actually at Keesler for
yeah.
9 months, a 9-month tech school. So
Golly, man,
yeah, it's a
ground
long
rat,
tech school. Yep,
ground rat, right? Gosh,
yep.
man. I think I talked to somebody who was in that. I can't think of who that was now, but so when you were getting ready to finish your first enlistment, did you think, oh yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be a lifer, or is it like, what prompted you to re-enlist?
I think it was just it had a lot to do with timing. I think because to be honest with you, when I first got in the military, I was actually trying to go to Palace Chase to get out and go in the reserves, but at the
Yeah,
time,
you too.
yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the way it worked out is my career field was undermanned at the time, so they wouldn't let me out. And then one thing led to another. Financial stuff sometimes came up, and it was
Oh yeah.
and then and I also that's what I used to be a ground radio guy, and then another thing was I retrained, and that was a big bonus to retrain. So
Yep.
that was another financial
Oh
reason to
yeah.
stay in, and it just every time I turn around, something came up, and I kept re-enlisted and really. Next thing I know, it's 20 years. Flew by.
So I feel like you're reciting my career back to me. I'm it's like I'm like first enlistment. I'm like, bro, I got to do Palace Chase. I got to go back home,
Right.
And it was funny because when I had like kind of made up my mind. I had already talked to a reserve recruiter, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this Palace Chase thing." And I get on the phone with my dad, and he's like, "I was stationed in Georgia," and he's like, "Oh, nobody talked to you?" I was like, "What do you mean nobody talked to me?" And it turned out my entire family was moving to Nashville, Tennessee, and I was like, "Bro, if I go back to California, I'm going to be homeless." So
Right.
I was like, "Well, might as well reenlist." So that was some times, man. So where all were you stationed other than Keesler?
Well, my first duty station was at Eglin Air Force Base. So they started me out on the right track. I was down at Eglin, which is beautiful beaches. Um, I was down there for 4 years, and then I got a command level move.
Mm,
So they kind of put me in a pickle there because you can't turn down, and then you can't turn down assignments. You turn down an assignment, then they don't allow you to re-enlist. So I
right.
took the the command to move to Fort Polk, Louisiana. So I was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana for a year and a half.
Really? I had no
Yes,
idea you were in Leesville. My wife
I
graduated
was.
from high school there.
I think we had this conversation a long time
I
ago.
think so too, man.
Yeah,
It's been like 10 years, man. I don't
yeah, yeah.
know. Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
It was actually
Wow.
a cool assignment, though, to be honest. There's nothing down there, but it was neat, because I actually not only did I do my ground radio job there, taking care of like the 206 pallets, the different types of radios. I
Yeah.
I got to do what they call OCN, overseeing the different exercises. And they had Army doesn't play when it comes to exercise. They go
Oh
full
yeah.
tilt, people
Yeah.
parachuting in the area, people camping out in the woods, and it was fun. So we got to ride four-wheelers during the day, just oversee the whole exercises after we
Oh
got all
my
the work done.
gosh.
It was fun.
That's
I'm not.
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was neat. And the Army takes care of their people a lot. They have a lot of those MWRs all over. They had a lake there that you can go to weekends and rent like a little
Yeah.
cabin for cheap. So it was pretty fun.
Yep.
I really liked it. And my
Wow.
commander was an A-10 pilot, and
Oh,
and he was wild. So we had good times there.
wow. Man. Yeah,
Yeah.
your experience is like not like a lot of our, Air Force brothers and sisters, we were not stationed with, the other branches of service who always make fun of us, by the way.
They
Like
do.
we're
They
not
do. I think it's because they're jealous of us.
I think so too. I think so too. I have a lot of things to say. I'm probably not on this podcast, but I have some like opinions based on some experiences I've had on other branches military installations. Let's just say that the Air Force is like up here. Other than the fact that, you're on base and you're like, I'm at building 1000, I'm looking for building 1001, and you're telling me it's half a mile away?
Right.
It's like you're at 1000, building 2 is right there, and building 502 is over there, and you're like, what?
It's a different culture for sure. It's definitely a different culture. I give you that. And I almost be honest with you, I was thinking about because I work with TAP P guys, your
Oh yeah,
tactical air control party guys. I was
yeah.
maintaining their radios, and they like we all became really good friends and stuff. And I really came very close to doing the TAP P, but the only reason I didn't is because I would have been stationed on an army post for the rest of my career. So I
Hey,
was like,
you
nope,
got to weigh the pros and the cons, man.
yeah, that was not going to happen.
You see somebody that's so funny. I don't
uh,
know what oh, it's on Facebook. Do you know Jeff Daly?
yeah,
He put an
yeah,
angry face.
yeah. That's one of my good buddies down here in Tampa. Yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
yeah.
So anyway, you were at Fort Polk for how long did you say?
I say about a year and a half. So it worked out perfect. And it took a while to get out of there. Well, I say a year and a half went too, was short for a military assignment. But for me to get out of there, I was a four-man shop, and I was the only guy working there. So finally, they started bringing people, and I told my commander, I said, "Look, I want to, because it ain't based on the unit; it's based on the Air Force their needs." And
Yeah.
I kept telling my boss, "Look, y'all need to get some people in here because my window, we had that little type, tiny window to retrain, and you got to take advantage of your first term enlistment." So basically, at the last minute, I got to re-enlist or got to retrain. That's when I became an IT person. So again, I went back to Keesler for about 5 months, and once I retrained and completed my training, I came back and I got assignment pretty much, right there at the
Oh,
spot, and that took me to Georgia. Um, so my next duty assignment was up in Warner Robins. I was stationed at the Fifth Combat Comm Unit. I was in the 53rd.
Fifth Mob.
Yep, the Fifth Mob.
I feel like we've had this conversation before, but I forgot about all this stuff because yeah, I was at Robbins from on J Stars
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yep.
from '09 to no, not '09, from 1999 to 2009. So
Woo,
yeah.
that's a long duty.
Oh yeah, it was June 1999 to December 2009. So it was exactly like on the date, exactly 10 and a half years, 10.5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was
never
there
got it.
so long. Yeah, I was there so long that I thought that I was going to live the rest of my life there because there are people all around me who had spent their entire careers there at Robbins on J Stars. And that's where, I mean, I kind of naturalized. I became a Falcons fan, bless my heart, right? Dogs fan, and then that's why we had that conversation. I was like, I can't
Right.
believe you're not a Dogs fan, man. What kind of traitor are you? But it's okay.
My whole family is. I'll tell you that. My whole family's dog fans, but I'm not. And believe it or not, I think I don't know if you remember this, but I'm a huge Saints fan too. So,
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
ugh, threw up a little in my mouth. Yeah, threw up a little
yeah.
in my mouth. There's your
So,
buddy right there.
yeah. What's up, Jeff?
So, so then after Warner Robins, you went to.
I went to Turkey for 2 years. I did a special duty assignment over in
Oh, that's
Ankara,
right.
Turkey. So I was there for 2 years, and then that's when I came to Biloxi. Was my next duty assignment, and I was there about 3-4 years again. And
Yeah.
then my last duty station was here at MacDill Air Force Base. I work over at the Joint Communication Support Element, JCSE. Which
Yeah.
that's a cool assignment. I wish I would have went there as a younger, ranked person because once you
Yeah.
become a master sergeant, then you're in management, and even though I worked some deals that go on some exercise and deployments, but by then they want your staff and your tech guys to tech sergeants
Yep.
to do all that. And they got cool. They go to airborne school. You go to all the best special
Oh my
training
gosh.
down here in Tampa. So it was a neat. Like I said, I got there as a master sergeant and didn't get to do a whole lot of that, all the good stuff they did. So
So I talked to somebody, good friend of mine, I don't know, a few episodes back, maybe not a few, maybe 20 episodes back, who had he had a unaccompanied assignment, but his was a was it postal specialist?
okay,
Remember that one?
yep.
But he was in like Thule, Greenland. So what did you do at in Turkey? Were you Interlic?
No, I was actually doing a special duty assignment, and it was a data mass assignment. So some things you can't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like one of those special duty assignments where you go over there and you do. I was doing my IT work, um,
Okay.
but it was fun. It was good. That was another good assignment, because I got to travel around Turkey and they got a lot. Copa or Cappadocia. I got to go there. I got to go to Istanbul. So there's a lot
Wow.
of things because I supported the State Department a little bit there, and we had a lady that
Wow.
worked there, and she was very good at getting all the trips lined up, all inclusive trips around Turkey, and so it was fun. And they got beautiful beaches there, and it was a good time.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man. That sounds like a cool assignment.
Yeah, it was a
Wonder.
special. A lot of my assignments, because I try to go in and try to work it to get these special duty assignments, so you can have a little more control of where you go.
Hmm.
Because if you depend on that dream sheet, you never get what you want.
Nah, man. I mean, I think like when I was stationed at Robbins, and a lot of people like in the same boat with me, we got stuck there. Some people really like camped out there. I mean, I know people who had their whole entire career there. You know, they bought houses and never thought about leaving. I remember one guy got orders like 17 years in, was from Georgia, had never been outside of Georgia except for basic and tech school. He went to Texas, right? And then he went back
That's
to
rare.
Georgia. And then he's like, "Oh, I got orders overseas. I don't want to go." And I'm like, "Oh, give me your orders." But we had different AFSC, so it wouldn't work
So
that
y'all
way.
deployed a lot, I'm guessing. Since you was there for 10 years, you deploy a lot
Yeah, short stints. It
uh,
wasn't like y'all, doing 6 months or whatever it was,
yeah,
4 months. The thing is, the unit I was in was the first and maybe only active duty unit that blended with a guard unit. And so then the guard has a union. This is the craziest thing. They have a union, yeah. And they're like, "Oh, we're not doing." They started doing just like 45-day deployments. But I didn't get out. I was in a non-deployable position, and then I got out to back out to the flight line, and they're like, "Oh, the shortest now is 90 days, and then the long one was like 180 days." But it was like 90 days more like, or no, 60 days or 120 days, and but the 60 was more like 70, 74, 78. But I would go, and then I would come home for like 4 or 5 months, and then I'd go again. So I wasn't gone for like the longest amount of time. Like some people, are gone for a long time, but then they don't deploy for a long time again.
right.
But I was like, deploy, redeploy, deploy, redeploy over and over again. It's exhausting. It really is.
It
It's tough
is.
on the
Yep.
family too. Yeah.
I think the Air Force had because like I said, I've been stationed with the Army a lot, in my career, down at Fort Polk. And one thing I got to say about the Air Force, which I really like, is they really try to work on that tempo. You're out and in. If you do 6 months out, they want to. And I know they was working at with my whole career, they was trying to come out with the best plan. If you go out 6 months, you get 12 months back. And the Army didn't do that. When the Army went out, them guys, they didn't
No.
know they was
Yeah.
coming back. There was
Yep.
some of the guys when we went into Iraq, they were out for 18 months,
Yep.
and they had
That's
a hard
right.
time keeping these guys going AWOL because they come back and it's like, and then they want to go right back out to the deployment. And
Yeah.
it's so the good thing about Air Force, my longest deployment was to Afghanistan. I did 10 months in Afghanistan.
Mm.
So that was my longest, but most of my deployments were, 3 to 4 months, maybe five
Yeah.
months, so they really, I mean, it's still stressful when you're family, when
Oh
you're
yeah.
gone, you got kids and, you got one parent at the house had to watch the kids while you're, out, you know, in another country and very
Yeah.
limited communications and stuff.
Yeah. It was so weird because in that time, social media wasn't what it is now. Like
Right.
now, like everybody's in contact with everybody all the time. I'm like, I don't know how military keeps secrets of like, oh yeah, we're deploying. Don't tell anybody. And it's like people are like tweeting, "Hey, I'm deploying today," and it's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" But back then, I remember standing in line to use the phone for 15 minutes. Two
Well, see,
times a week, something like that.
yeah, it was pretty bad. I got lucky though, because I've always been in communication. So if you got something to give
Oh,
somebody, so I always had like a
yes,
phone, and you had to learn those little tricks on deployments how you can make phone calls, and you run your 2 3 times up during the week. You call another base and get through. So I knew a lot
yes.
of those tricks.
I knew people after the fact, and I'm like, "Where were you? Where were you in my time of need?"
That's
So,
true. Uh,
all right. So, like, when did you? Let's see. When did you retire? You retired in 2017.
yeah, December 20, officially December 2017. But you know how you
Yeah.
get all that terminal leave and
Yeah.
not really working. Or you're
Oh
working,
no,
but you're
that's
not
out processing, right?
out processing. Yeah, so I had about
Yeah.
4 months out processing. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I was supposed to be out processing. Man, I was bored and I was like, go somewhere, and then I go back to the office, and Mr. Boyd's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I had my appointment. I have another appointment. I don't feel like driving back home. It's like 45
right.
minutes to get back to Long Beach, and then I got to come back out here for the afternoon. And he's like, "Okay, but after today, I don't want to see you again." And I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And so,
I miss Boyd. He was a
yeah,
nice guy. I liked him a lot.
yeah.
You know, yeah,
So,
he was very very kind guy. So I have to say that.
yes, definitely, definitely, very, very thoughtful.
Yeah, very thoughtful.
Yep. So, I just had a thought about like, man, we could go down all the like the wrong trails. Just
Right.
like thinking about like going out to eat Korean food.
It's
And Miss
it's
Joette,
funny. Me and my
we're all
wife,
sitting in there. Miss Joette's like, "Did you guys have Korean food?" And we're like, "What?" She's like, "I can smell it coming out of your pores."
all that garlic.
Oh
You
man, but
showed me
anyway.
you showed me a lot of good places to eat. I
Oh
told my
yeah,
wife, I said, yeah, my buddy down there in Biloxi, if there was a good place to eat, he knew where it's at, and we was going there for lunch.
man, it was. I remember. Okay, this is gonna be the last food thing before we go down the other road. But I remember probably within a year of getting to Keesler, I read an article in like the local paper or whatever, Sun Herald, whatever it was, and it said that there was like this crazy amount of ethnic restaurants within a mile of Keesler. And I was like, "Really? What are those things?" So I was like looking, I was like, "Oh, Mr. Greek, it's right next to RNC Korean. And oh, by the way, the other Korean spot is like 100 yards down the road."
Yep.
And then there's like all the Vietnamese places. And what was so crazy about Biloxi is that everybody that you would talk to had their fun spot, and they also had their banh mi spot, and they were not necessarily the same place to go. It's like you want that good Vietnamese po' boy, you go Lee Bakery or wherever it
Right.
was. You want some pho, we would go to Kim Long, which was on Division. So yeah, there's all the good places, and
I'm gonna.
it got to the
I'll.
point where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not bringing my food in anymore because we're always going out to eat.
I tell you what. I had to say this. I've been, been around the world, because of the military. Been around the world, and I don't know. There's no place better than that Biloxi, Gulfport, Lone. That they have the best food, seafood, best Asian food. You name it. It's the best, in my opinion. And I always
Oh
brag
yeah.
about it. It's just the best. I've been to Italy. I've been all these different places, and none of the food compares to that location down there. It's so
Yeah,
delicious.
like in that right off the pass gate, within like 100 yards, you got two Korean restaurants. There was that Jamaican food place. I
Yep.
don't know if you remember that. And then
Down there on the left on Pass Road, right?
yeah, and
Yep.
then Mr. Greek was right next to RNC. And then down the road a little bit, for a little bit, you remember that place called Coco Pelli's? It was Mexican, like Baja Mex, so from California. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I
like,
remember
ooh,
because you
this is
used to
what
get
I grew up eating.
those big old burritos.
Yes. 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 All right. So, um, here's the thing. Like when people decide they're going to get out, they start either trying to figure out like what school they want to go to or how they want to finish up, or if they want to go to school or if they want to go to a trade school, and then like where they want to live or what, what, um, what kind of things were you going through, like trying to decide what to do there? Because I remember you were in school when I was in school toward the end of
Yeah.
my career.
Well, I know how I am. I figured if I'm gonna get my degree, I need to get it while I'm still in the military. Because I know. And then what I try to do is I try to take advantage of the tuition assistance. Because depending on what year it was, sometimes it was 100%, sometimes it was 75%.
Right.
Because the Air Force kept, because when I was at I think it was here at McDill. The Army and the Marines, all those guys got their stuff like taken away from like on a regular basis. But the Air Force really kept us doing that. So I knew if I want to, because I didn't want to come out and make being in the military, we don't make that much money. Let's be honest. So I was like, man, when I come out with experience, I need to have some education to back it, and I want to get paid, a little bit more than what I was getting. And so I went did most of my classes online. When I was in Biloxi, I tried to go to to Mississippi, Southern Mississippi. I tried to go there, but every time I turned around in Biloxi, I kept getting deployed. So those 15-week classes, I had to always either get lucky and finish one, or I had to drop the class on my deployment. So I basically just went online and started doing all my schooling online, because that way if I deployed, all I had to do is have an internet connection, and I was good to
Right.
go.
Yeah.
And so in the class was smaller. So I'm not you can I think traditional class is like 15 weeks, and the online class is like 8 or 10 weeks. It's like almost half
Yeah.
the time. And so I did that. I finally got my degree. I think it was in Biloxi. I finally got my degree.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I went and I can't remember his name. I think his name. He used to work with us, and he was good at talking to the guys over at the training. We had a lot of training at Keesler, and I can't remember his name. He became a TI at some point, and but he worked a deal over at the schools, and we got to go over to do Security Plus. So I got Security Plus knocked out while I was in Keesler.
Nice.
So, and then I went on my own and got Net Plus, and then right before I retired, because I think the Air Force offers some kind of program. I forgot what it's called. It's a program where they give you, I think, up to $6,000 for people who's getting out of the military to pay for your like some kind of any kind of technical school. So the
Yeah.
Microsoft stuff. They got these 5-week classes, and they're usually around $1,500 to $2,000. And I did stuff like that to just to boost up my resume when I got
Yeah.
out, because IT in the IT world is very competitive, and you got to have those not only experience but the credentials. And I
Yeah.
wanted to have that stuff lined up. And then plus my son at the time, I knew he was gonna be graduating time I retire, and I wanted to have him use my GI Bill, which he did.
Oh,
So
yeah.
because I didn't want to waste it. I'm getting free education. I'm getting $4,500 a year in the Air Force, and I don't understand why people waste that. I mean, that's free
Right.
money to go to school.
Yeah.
And I use
Exactly.
every penny every year I maxed it out. You
Yep.
know.
I have like when I finally finished my master's, I had like I think maybe like 3 weeks worth of tuition left, and I was like, I can't do anything with that. But I squeezed out as much as I could, even after like not doing well in class, like failing in class and then having to pay it back. I was like,
Oh
that
yeah.
sucks so bad. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. But yeah, I did a lot with tuition assistance. I finished my bachelor's off my tuition assistance.
And
So
I haven't
with
got my master's yet, though. I'm not quite sure if I want to go back to school for my master's. I have a coworker. He just went and got his master's degree, so I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I need it, because I don't really like management. So I'm in a perfect job right now. I'm a system engineer, and I don't have nobody working for me. I get to do IT work all day long, and that's one thing that kind of soured me a little bit at the end of my career with in the Air Force was
being the
I got
E7,
more. Yeah, when I made E7, that was like probably the worst rank to make, because now I'm managing people. It was. I'm serious. 'Cause, and it just because I'm more of a technical. I like to work in my little
yeah,
circle, and do my own thing. And then you know how to in management in the civilian world is not the same as it is in the Air Force. So they get in the Air Force, they want you to babysit everybody. In the military, you got to babysit. You got to know everybody's, and it's not like that in the civilian world. I still don't want to be in management though. You can keep the management stuff. So
it's a little bit different on the outside. Like you don't have to give people who are 25 and under, um, you don't have to have them sign in and tell you where they're going to be over the weekend and give them a safety briefing.
right,
I don't know. I remember talking to my cousin, like my cousin who retired me. He was a Captain Vito when he retired me. Um, but I remember he was saying something. We were having a conversation. Then he's like, "Oh, I got to go to this briefing, whatever." And I was like, "Why?" And it's like, "Oh, because I'm like 25 and under." And it's like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That's hilarious."
it is
Yes, I
funny.
remember those.
Well,
But
when I was at Fort Polk, I mean, I'm here down in McDill. They call it joint. It's supposed to be joint assignments, but it's really the Army running it. That's usually they usually put the highest guys. So the colonel is usually is an Army colonel. It's not Air Force. And then they put, just to make us feel better, they put the vice commander is usually an Air Force guy. And so a lot of my bosses were, unfortunately, I had Army like Rangers, and people as my boss, and they take it even a step further. So every month I had to inspect everybody's car, had to go out there and look at their tires. I had to, make sure everything's working properly. They gave me he gave me a big thick book that had all their financial stuff and their leave. It was like babysitting to another whole nother level. And me and the sergeant
Oh,
major, we used to, she wanted me to go down and do these inspection on these cars. And I kept explaining to her, I said, so if I go here and see this guy's got a bald tire, can I tell him he can't drive his car? So what can I do that? Because now I'm gonna have this on my conscience. This guy don't have a has a wore out tire. He's gonna go wreck and it's on me, and I can't make him stop. So I told her I'm not doing these car inspections. So me and her knocked heads.
it's so funny. Like being having been a civilian now for 9 years. Yeah, almost. Man, my my retirement date was or my retirement ceremony was like 9 years ago, 9 years and 5 days ago. So it's like it's so funny. But yeah, after being a civilian now for 9 years, some of those things, like people talk about those things, and I remember them. They go, "Oh my gosh, I forgot that we had to do all those things, and I forgot
Yep,
that's even a thing." And like people who never served in the military like cannot comprehend some of the things. It's like, what? Why would you? And it's like, it's there's more to it. There's a whole lot of context that you're not getting, and like history, and so it just sounds like ludicrous. Like, what is this stuff?
yep.
So, so, um, so let's talk about your like job search. What was that like for you?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I had to give props out to Kaplan University. So like I said, I got my degree finished about. I see, I retired in 2017. So I got my degree. I came here if it was 2012 or 2014. I had about 3 years left before I retired. Once I got my degree, and so Kaplan University would always call me or they'll send me emails or give me a call and say, hey, look, we got a job here, around the Tampa area or down in Miami or somewhere in the area. And so and they kept doing it for we had 3-4 years left in the military. And I said, well, look, I appreciate y'all calling me, but can y'all put me, you know, in another folder until I get close to my retirement, about the last year. And she said, yeah, well, we could do that. So, so I really wasn't looking for a job because I thought I was just going to take a couple months off, a year off. And then,
Hmm.
then I started thinking about it. Well, I probably need to keep working because that little retirement we get, it's not that much.
No, it's not.
So, like I said, my official retirement was December of 2017, and but I was really done with the military around August. I had my retirement in August, so I didn't really look in August. I didn't look in September, but in October I went ahead and started looking out for jobs, and come back Kaplan University. They said because they got a big company. I don't know if you heard of them. It's called Booz Allen Hamilton. They're big DoD
Yeah.
contract. So they was hiring out here in McDill, and so Kaplan University showed me a recruiter that was a
Okay.
military. So I kind of went the back through the back door on getting a job at Kaplan with that company, and I worked with them for a while. And they kind of I didn't realize how crazy the contracting world was when I got out. I thought, you in the military for 20 years, everything's pretty much set in stone.
Yeah.
And when you go out and then you take that security blanket and you go out into this DoD contract world, thinking they're going to try to treat you right and give you the salary that you deserve. And then kind of found out that's not what it is. It's like they're like used car sales. The less they pay you, the more they're making, which I didn't realize that's how it was. So I really came out. I made a decent amount of money, but I seen other people that was really taken advantage of, and then the veterans, all the guys that never went into the military. A lot of them that didn't even join the military were been doing DoD contracting for 20 some years,
Wow.
and was saying this is what you should be making for this job. And then so I was there for I got hired on. The funny thing is so I retired December 1st in 2017, which was a Friday. It just happened to land on a Friday. Um, I got basically took the 2 days off, the Saturday and the Sunday off, and then on Monday I'm working for Booz Allen Hamilton. So
Oh,
I thought it was going to be my least amount of money that I was be making in December. Can it be one of my most, the ones I made the most money because I was getting, still
double
getting paid. But
dipping.
yeah, I was double dipping, and it just worked out great for me. And another good thing too is because of the job I was taking, I was working with DIA. Um, it's like Department of Defense's like NSA. It's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the DoD intelligence agency. They
Okay.
so it's very hard to get in there. You got to take a polygraph. You have to
Oh, wow.
get cleared before you can go in there. So basically, I worked from December all the way to probably February without having to do anything. Just go in and do a little training. The little CBT training, and I got
Yeah.
paid full pay until I got on in February. So, and that worked
Wow.
out good. But it kind of was I got kind of rubbed wrong. I liked Booz Hamilton, But they were supposed to. They just got the contract, and the way it was working toward the time I got in the military is the military didn't do those 5 20 year. They actually did 1 year and then they kept renewing it like that. And so Booz Allen came in under bid for the contract, and they thought they're going to do a year and then they're just going to say, hey, we want $200 billion, of money more, and the military didn't do it. They didn't accept it, and so I left and then went to another DoD contract, and the whole time, I'm getting hired on at Hillsborough County. That takes a slow process. So
Yeah,
so I
government.
basically worked two DoD contractors when they probably 6 7 months, and then I got hired. I've been at Hillsborough County since 2018, October 2018.
So,
So
do you see what kind of similarities were there between like defense contracting and working for a government organization?
well, because you really do the same job. You just don't have as much. You don't have as much authority, much power. You got somebody, a GS person or a military person's got to give you, the sign off for you to do any kind of work. And it's
Yeah.
the approval level. You don't get no approvals at contracting, so you just, you're there just to do the technical work. So
Oh,
so,
okay.
so yeah, and I guess and so they always putting GS people, military people over the contractors, technically over the contractors, and you can't do anything without approval, without somebody that works for the government
Yeah.
giving you the sign off on it. And so that was really hard for me to deal with it right when I started doing it, is that you don't have no power no more. As a master sergeant, I can go in there and say, hey, we're gonna get this done. Do it.
Right.
As a contractor, I couldn't do that. I'm basically do what you tell me, and I'm just gonna whether I like it or not. So.
Yeah. Wow. That
But
that
it took a
must have
lot of
been.
responsibility off, though. I didn't have to. I wasn't responsible for nobody. So
Oh yeah, especially if you don't like management, then yeah, it's like might as well, right? Oh man. So do you feel like TAP really helped you out in your transition?
I think
Or
it did. I'll be honest,
yeah,
because I was because down here in McDill, and I'm not sure about the other bases, but we had a lot. They had a lot of people come in, that were successful, and I really loved the conversations. They came in, and a lot of them came in. Some of these guys knew. They was working with Warren. What's his name? Warren Buffett.
it's like Warren Beatty is an
Yeah,
actor.
I know. That's what. Yeah. So yeah, some of these guys had worked with him, and they had a lot of advice. They said how they got rich, but time they was talking how their career, how they got to this point. They lost it all
Wow.
because of this, and then it just was it was very motivating type. And a lot of information. They provide you a lot of information. They prepare you to come out. Um, we had we got I don't know if down in Biloxi, but down here we got this. It's called Men's Warehouse, where they sell you suits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, these guys came in and they teach you how to dress, what type of pants, like just they're basically like setting you up for success over there, and I really liked it.
Oh man, I think that might be there. The difference might be the fact that like McDill is in a metro area,
Right,
like a city, but in in Biloxi, the majority of the people are working. If you're not working for the military, you're in civil service or defense contracting, or at Stennis or something, or they're working in like hospitality and gaming or fishing, right?
right.
And so there's not like a huge corporate presence on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, right? So like a lot of my network is not on the coast. A lot of my network is in Nashville, where I was for 5 years. But like I know of like very few like corporate types on the coast. And so then the tap. I actually went to tap twice. It's
They
in
say do
Biloxi.
that. They recommend that. They tell you to
Yeah,
go do
well,
it once and then come back again, so because you
I
can
yeah, I
get
definitely
more
like
information.
picked up different things at different times, but there was like things that I was not prepared for, like in the interviewing and job application, all that stuff. So but so you've been at Hillsborough County for a while now.
Yeah, I have
And
actually. Yeah, I've been in 2018. I got here in October of 2018. I've been here since then.
wow, yeah, that's a good amount of time. So what was your I forgot to ask you, what was the degree that you got? What was your bachelor's in?
I got it in IT management is what I did.
Okay.
Because it was because you know how we another thing about I love about the Air Force too is our community college at Air Force. So basically I got a couple of those. I got one for the electronics when I was in radio, and then I got the IT one for the 2 year degree there, and so
Yeah.
that just helped me roll into getting my third and fourth year of college. So I just continued down that path, and it was and and like I said, I figured I was going to do IT when I got the military. So might as well stick to, because I know a lot of people get degrees and they don't even do those jobs. They just, to me, it's 4 years. I would say you wasted it, but if I always tell my son, when you go to college, make sure don't waste it on something you're not going to do. Don't go become you want to be a mechanic and you go do IT cybersecurity, because then they don't jive. So
I don't know, man. I I work with a lot of people who have degrees in something, and then that's not what we do. But it's the crazy thing about like the data field. So many of us came in like the side doors, whereas like nowadays there's a lot of people who have like degrees in like data something, or like certifications that they got through like boot camps, like intensive boot camps. But a lot of us that started when I started, we all came in the side doors, doing
right,
something that was kind of like it. It's like, hey, let's try this out. And so, yeah, no, I worked with somebody who was a senior analyst where I was, and he has a degree in like a bachelor's degree in psychology. Another one had a master's in library science. Another one like um, information systems management. So it's like,
right.
yeah, it's the craziest thing. And then I have an uncle who also he went med tech pre med and then ended up becoming a lawyer. So I don't. I think a lot of those places just want you to, prove that you can finish something, something like with a degree. So I don't
That
know,
was
man.
that was a crazy thing. Talking about like getting jobs was the interviews. Like, because I wasn't used to doing interviews when I first got to the military, and I
Right.
wouldn't say tap set with the interview process. They helped me build a resume. They got me, in that, if I wanted to get like a federal job, they showed us how the
Yeah.
different resumes had to look line up. But the interview process was a whole lot different than I expected. To get my job at the county, it was very intimidating. You had one, two, three, you have four people in front of you, and you just get
Oh,
hit one
panel
question.
interview.
Yeah, no, that was a little. Not, every interview I did, I thought I did horrible. And I was like, I come home with my head down. I was like, I didn't get the job.
Yeah, no, they make you feel that way. It's awful.
Yeah. Well, then it could have found out. I realized it was a game. I had these. It was a game so they
Yeah.
can lowball you on your money. And so they had this company, because they all when you had a top secret. I don't have my top secret clearance anymore, but when I did, I mean, you like it's like everybody wants you to come work for them because they can make
Hmm.
that big money bringing you in there. And then so there was a job in Clearwater, and I didn't. I knew I was going to do it because it was like 6 months. I think it was 6 weeks or 6 months. You was going somewhere and you came back. And I didn't want to do that. I was already deployed a ton when I was in the military, and I was like, I'm not going to. I didn't get out of the military to just be traveling all the time unless I was on vacation, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to the vice, because they always like throw their titles out. Well, I'm the vice president of the company. And then he just starts going down these, because I'm not a networking guy, I'm a systems guy. So he started hitting me with all
Yeah.
these different networking questions. I kept telling him, look, I don't do networking. And then it's by the end of the conversation, I was about to hang up on him. I was like, look, I don't think I'm the guy y'all looking for. And so anyway, so I hang up with him, and about after I get hired on Hillsborough County, about I think a month later, I get a call from this is the president of the company. And you made it to the next round of interviews. I said, well, and I told the guys, like,
Always.
well, I said, I'll be honest with you, I got another job, and I'm not looking to work there. And I appreciate you calling me and everything. And he said, oh no, we just go sit down, and have a couple beers, and we'll talk. I said, I appreciate it, but I just don't think I'm the guy you need. Y'all looking for, to me, more of a networking type of technician, and I
Yeah.
got a little bit of it, but I'm not trying to learn a whole new job when just to come work for you. And I didn't like how they kind of like do the I got you type interviews, trying to
Yeah.
try to stump. We call it stomp the chump. They try to just ask
Yeah.
you these questions that unless you're studying for a test, you're not going to know the answer to these questions.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
not Bill Gates. so so I,
Funny.
I had a part in that, and so it was really rough with it, with how they try to get you like that. Some of them wasn't
Yeah.
though, and what I was getting at, as long as you can go in there and I noticed they all loved it, can you find the information? If you don't know how to do it, are you self motivated? Can you go out and get the information? Which I am, and you are too. So I know that helps out a lot in the interviews. Hey, look, I'll go out and get it. I don't need somebody over my shoulder to tell me what to do. I can
Yeah.
find it if I don't know it.
Yep.
And that's how I got a
Exactly.
lot of these jobs because of that just them comments like that. So
Yeah. Exactly. Man. So it's been great catching up with you. I I I already had dinner, but I feel like I just need to go eat some Korean food now.
there you go.
And I think that's funny that you said that like Biloxi was the best, like out of all the places you were stationed, that was the best place like for food. And I think back and go, oh man, yeah, it definitely was. And anytime, my wife and I are in that area, we're like, okay, we're gonna plan to go eat Korean food or something, go eat a banh mi or something from Lee Bakery. Man, so but I just have a couple more questions for you. Like so often I ask people, if they're involved in something that's like unique or that they're passionate about. Is there something that you're involved in, and it doesn't have to be work related, that you're involved in, that you're passionate about?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When because in the military, we volunteer a lot. I did a lot of stuff down with the VA and things like that. And as soon as I got out of the military, I started basically over again. Now I got some young kids, and I try to stay involved in their life, and that's where I'm passionate at. Just raising my kids, and just trying to keep them out of trouble. Leading them right, give them advice. Like my son, I got an older son, and I try to mentor him and try to get it. Now he's actually, it's funny. He's about to go to Florida State in January. He graduated
Yeah,
down, so
awesome.
he got his 2-year degree down here in Hillsborough County, and now he's waiting because he got accepted at Florida State, and he's going to start there in January, which I'm very proud of him for
Oh
that.
yeah, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
was that your grandson that tried to,
no,
or
that was actually my son.
oh, you got another little one?
Yeah,
For
I
some
started
reason,
over. I'm married.
that's
I'm remarried and everything. So
that's crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why he was crying. Okay, I get
yeah.
you.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I try to be involved with my kids and in their school and after school activities and it's because it's busy.
yeah,
I work all day and then here the one good thing in the military is we always they always kind of like put you in certain areas. Like I just did servers when I was in the military, or they did the active director. Here at the Hillsborough County, we do it all. I'm doing
yeah,
anything it does with IT, we're doing it, and so that a lot of times we're doing stuff at nighttime. So there's like 2 weeks out of the month that we were working after hours, and then I got my kids, in school, and it's real busy. So it's really hard to jump on any additional because I would love to get more involved with the veterans because we have a lot of veterans down here, and I would love to
hmm,
get more like I did in the military. Start going to go to the VA because we got a big VA hospitals down here,
yeah, yeah,
and I'll definitely like and I go up there because that's where I do all my medical at. And I like to get more involved, volunteer for that stuff, but I just ain't had the time. To be honest with you, I retired in 2017, and it feels like I retired last year. It's just flying by. You know,
yeah, yeah.
so
But yeah, like that time with family is super important. Having been deployed a bunch, I can definitely attest to that. That family time feels like it better be more important now than it was. Not that it wasn't important before, but
right,
you just can't. It's like they're deploying. You can't say no. I'm not going to go this time. I'm just not going to go this time.
right.
Um,
And
and
I've been traveling a lot over the last few years. I've been to
yeah,
Brazil a handful of times. My wife's Brazilian, so I've been to Brazil about 5 or 6 times. I've been to
wow,
Panama. I've been to Mexico. We went to Mexico a bunch of times. I just came back from Italy. I did like about 10 weeks over there, or not 10 weeks, 10 11 days in Italy and Germany and Europe. So I like to travel. That's like one of my passions. Get out. Because the military got me seeing a lot of things. And I was like, I like this is pretty good, but I like to come here not work related, come here on leisurely and enjoy the
yeah.
stuff. But so I like traveling too. Family and traveling is like two of my big things. And we love to fish. Now when we was in
Oh
Biloxi,
yeah,
you was a little bit better at it than I was.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember that now.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, I was.
the fishing down
Man,
here is not as good as in Biloxi, though. I can tell you that right now.
really?
Yeah, they're
Wow.
like we had the trout, the trout down there were got big. Down here they're
Mhm.
tiny. I bet you they're not more than 8 9 pounds. You know.
But you got that, like, the thing is with Biloxi, well, all of the Mississippi coast, like, it's so shallow for so long. You got to go like all the way out to the rigs to do any like deep sea stuff. But
Right.
for you guys, there's like the shelf right there, right?
Yeah, you
Like
can
you
go
just
out.
go
Yeah.
out and then like there's a drop off.
Yeah, there is. Like you, but I don't have a big boat anymore, or I never had a big. I had
Oh,
a, so I don't have a boat that
yeah.
really can go out there, and so you got to pay. And let somebody put you out on the reef.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It
Yeah,
gets
I
it gets
got you.
high.
Yeah. 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 All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one. Don't hang up though, because I'm gonna talk to you in the
All
studio.
right.
Maybe we'll talk more about food.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and catching up and stuff, and bringing up all those funny memories about Biloxi. It was hilarious, and Robbins too. Just crazy.
Well, I
Anyway,
appreciate you having me on here.
yeah,
It was
man.
interesting, and it was like I said, it was good catching up. I know we
Yeah,
used to all the good places down there. It was good. There, and we had a lot of time to talk and stuff. So it's always funny, when you because I got to tell everybody, it's like you can be in a grocery store and you see a prior military person or somebody in the military. It seems like they you've known each other forever. It's like you could talk for hours to somebody at the grocery store, just because
yeah,
you usually have a lot in common, or it's just always funny to me.
yeah.
And down here we're real. It's a real military place down here, and a lot of military. So you run into a lot of people when you talk and talk and talk, and it's always good. But thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Oh, yeah, one more question before we
Uh,
cut it. If there's anything, any piece of advice that you could give to somebody who's like thinking about getting out of the military soon, or is like in the process of getting out of the military, and like any kind of piece of advice that you would just throw out there to them.
well, like I tell a lot of people, know your worth. Like when you're in the military, take the opportunities while you're in the military. Get your get certifications, get a college degree, whatever you can get to come out. Because the more you come out with more things to back you, and just be prepared. It's a little bit tougher. You're gonna come out, and if you have all that stuff lined up, it makes things easier. You come out, they're looking. Most times, a combination of work experience and education. So if you can get both of those while you're still in, because I know that, like, I can't speak for all the branches, but I know the Air Force is really good at providing opportunities like the TA, and I cannot think of that one that they give you. It's like $6,500 for you to go out and get a good certification. You can pick whatever
I know what
certification
you're
you want.
talking about. I can't remember what it's called either.
Yeah, and then get those things done, because I mean I'm telling you it pays to get out, because they looking for military, because they know military people and I see it too, are harder work. Like, we work hard. We're very disciplined, and they know that too. So they try to hire military. So you're getting a job, come out of the military is pretty easy for military guys. And if you can get those credentials added up, and make sure you go to TAPS. And another thing too, go to TAPS, because there's a lot of things you don't get that first go around in TAPS. And there's a lot of good links in those tabs, like training. You know, they help you get your resumes set up. So yeah, yeah, take advantage of all anything that military offers you that way, and,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Just be prepared when you come out, and don't waste the opportunities you got.
Oh, look at this. We
Oh,
got
that's it. Yep. There's Trace.
hey. That's another Keesler person.
Yep.
So, oh well, Keesler and Robbins person. I was stationed with her at Robbins too.
Oh,
Yeah, craziness. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna cut the stream. We're gonna go to the studio, just you and me. But everybody else, I'll see you guys next week. Next week we have Wilson Mann. He's gonna be up on the show next week, and so I'd love to see you guys there. Same bad time, same bad channel. Peace.
all right.